Yo guys, what's up and welcome back to Marvelous Chats. This is episode 60 of the podcast. This week on the cast we've got Hoffman and we've got Zaberwolf and we have a very special guest. If you're new to the channel, click the follow button, hit like on the video if you're on YouTube. If you're listening to us on Spotify, hit the follow button and turn on the notifications. This is a pre-recorded episode. It was not recorded live, so we're hoping that we're going to start getting 100 concurrent viewers on YouTube, and if we can do that, we'll go back to recording them live. So without further ado, I'm going to bring the guys in, give them a warm welcome.
Hey, what's up, Vito? How you doing?
How are we?
Good. Ready to talk some Marvel news?
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Bring in our special guest.
The special guest. Dun dun.
I apologize to anyone who might be listening to us, but Kyle has just spun around on his seat, petting a cat like he's Dr. Evil.
I was on a multiversal trip looking for a universe in which I don't have a birthday this year. Turns out that's an absolute point, and we're not getting around it.
Mr. Krunk, welcome back to the cast, brother. I hope you've been well.
What's going on, guys? New settings. We are... I hope you guys have been doing good the past few months. I've been keeping up with the Marvel stuff for the most part, so I'm in the know.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear what you think about like Doctor Strange when we get to it, because I know you're just such a huge Doctor Strange fan. Like,
I was hoping this the actual Doctor Strange Supreme was the one that we saw in the movie. We'll get to that, but so good,
so much.
Yeah, there's been a lot. There's been a lot since I was last here. I know there was Morbius. We had Moon Knight. Obviously, Doctor Strange. I think there was one more movie too, potentially. I'm not sure.
Was there?
I think there was one right after I had left in the beginning back. Because I remember I went and saw it. I'd have to, I don't know. Might have been Spider-Man. I don't think it was here for the Spider-Man episode. I don't think I was.
I don't think you were either, dude.
Yeah, I don't think I was here for Spider-Man. But yeah, there's been a lot, and not a bad year so far.
You know, they say there's no way home, but here's Kyle coming back to us.
Yeah, you gotta search all the multiverses.
We came to realize he was just far from home.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, nice.
Looking for
homecoming right here.
Looking for the Book of Ashanti.
Kyle, so just on I suppose on the freshest news, like maybe give us your kind of take on Multiverse of Madness. Did you see it a bunch of times, or
I only saw it once because I'm kind of new to going to movies by myself, and it's just a weird vibe just sitting there being in between two strangers, because obviously it's super packed with how like I had to get the ticket a month early, and I had to get like a good middle seat. I had to sit. It was the only seat available, so I'm in between these two random. This one guy's like trying to talk to me on the right, and he's like one of us, but only older and not like just a lot older. So he's like definitely into it, and he's like telling me all these theories and stuff. And it was a good movie theater experience. There was a couple, I don't know if you guys had in your theaters, a couple of applause moments. Obviously, when we got to see Krasinski come down as Reed Richards out of the portal, and then Xavier, Professor X come out. There was two back-to-back applauses in my theater. I love that.
Yeah.
The movie as a whole, I've heard some people say that like critics and people were saying it's getting bad reviews and they don't like it, but I think they're all smoking something. It was like Inception meets MCU. And even though we didn't get maybe as much of the multiversal stuff as what we wanted, because they were trying to follow down storyline paths, I feel like they've introduced the movie fans that maybe didn't watch Loki and aren't as in the know about the multiverse as the rest of us. They're introducing them to the idea of it so that they can hit the ground running when they continue down this line with Kang the Conqueror and all that stuff. My favorite part about the movie itself was how much it validated the Disney Plus show of WandaVision. It really turned that show from something that like you could say is extra credit into almost a required watching if you want to be into like the most up to knowledge stuff. And I thought that all the Disney Plus stuff was going to be like I said, extra credit, and making some of it kind of required watching is going to put people on their toes for the upcoming projects.
Yeah, I really think it's going to help the future projects of Disney Plus, because you're perfectly right in what you said. I think a lot of people skipped Falcon and the Winter Soldier because they're just like, yeah, whatever. I'll see Sam Wilson in the next Captain America movie. You know, I don't need to watch the show. Like, so yeah, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Yeah, it was great movie overall for me. I had no complaints, honestly. I mean, I didn't go into it like with that kind of podcast mindset where I was going to try to be picking it apart kind of thing, but just as an overall thing, I just enjoyed it. A lot of good visuals, a lot of good, just like you see in the other sanctums joining, just a lot of good stuff.
Yeah,
it's amazing when you see your favorite superhero up on the spotlight. Because Fintos had his Spider-Man, Hoffman's getting Thor in a couple months. You've got your Doctor Strange, and I'm hoping eventually we get something with Hulk.
Well, you do get She-Hulk. I mean, it's not going to be.
Which I am really excited about that.
And Ruffalo's going to be in that too. So.
Yo, Hoffman, you saw the exclusive Thor: Love and Thunder trailer. I'd love to. Dude, I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know how I love Thor, but I don't know how I feel about this like laid back Thor, and now he kind of just wants to go like I don't know how I'm
like he's retiring.
Yeah, and I also don't know how I feel. I just was never big in the comics, so I never knew that Jane ever became like Thor. So I have not the whole time that like I've known about that. I've still like it's still like not sunk in. Like it just doesn't compute to me. It doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah, like Jane becoming Thor is kind of more in terms of like comic book timeline, right? From like the beginning, it's more of a recent thing. But I like the idea of Thor being at the end of his journey and feeling like it's time for him to like lay down his hammer. He's like, I've done it all. I've been a superhero. He went through a lot of grief. I know Wanda lost some imaginary children and stuff, but like Thor literally lost his entire family in the matter of like 12 hours. And so
too soon, that's taking shots at one.
So like he's had all this grief, but like he came back, he beat Thanos and all this, he like gave up power and being the king. It's like I feel like he's at the end of his journey and he's done being a superhero. He's done. And then I think they're going to use that for the jumping off point of the story where it's like he can never stop. Like he has to because this is what he's destined for. This is what the universe and the realm needs him for. He's going to be laying it down. Then I think he's going to see God the Butcher killing everyone. He's like, I have to pick it back up,
man. Back, yeah.
So I love the idea. Thor. I believe this is the first time we've had I think it's going to be the fourth movie. I think it's the fourth movie we've gotten from any character, and that's a lot to do.
Iron Man.
And he only got 3 though.
Yeah, like solo movies, like is what he is. Yeah. So like, it is the fourth.
Yeah, so not only have we seen him 3 times in 3 full movies, he's also had all his development in like the Avengers movies and stuff. And so this is his fourth solo movie, and I think that's an interesting take to like you got to find roads to drive down when you're that far down in a character story. And I think Taika Waititi found it with that story, and I think I'm really excited for it. I'm
before or after Guardians movie? It's before, right?
Yeah,
because I know you see the Guardians in this movie. So is that going to be like? They're going to be traveling down a side note from this movie, or that's going to be a later, I don't know, like timeline wise, that kind of confused me because we're going to see him here. Obviously, they're not going to do whatever that movie's plot line is in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what's going to happen is they're going to be in this movie, kind of, Thor is going to be a Ravager for a little bit, and then they leave and they're going to go off and do their Christmas special. That will be the next thing that comes up for them, and then their movie next year. Yes.
All I can say is, if you want to get me in the Thor, you want to get my butt in the seat for Thor, you got to have Korg. I saw the outline of Korg. Maybe didn't get to hear any lines. I'm there. I just need Korg.
It's just crazy how much they redid Korg, though. Like with Korg, in the show with like Planet Hulk, he's very serious, very, very stoic. But in this one, they made him lighthearted, and I think it really worked well, like especially in Ragnarok and in Endgame, because it just like. It's just nice to see like this comic relief. And I know that there are times where we're like, oh man, we really don't want so much of it. But I think Korg really like hit the nail on the head.
It's really fun to see. Like the Oceanic region to play Korg too is like the perfect casting. I don't know. I couldn't tell you the voice actor's name, but
I think it's directed, right?
Do they have an actual like person in a green suit, or is Korg just all CGI?
I think it's a green suit.
And
so it actually is.
It's Taika Waititi, I believe.
Yeah,
who plays Korg.
That's correct. Yeah, Taika Waititi himself actually voices Korg and does the acting for him. So yeah. I knew it straight away because he uses his real voice. That's actually what Taika Waititi sounds like. So it's just whenever I see Korg, I just think Taika Waititi because I knew him beforehand.
Yeah, and that's why during the advertising for Free Guy, or whatever, with Ryan Reynolds, where you had the Korg and Deadpool advertising for that movie. It's because they're both in the MCU. Like that's their characters in the MCU, so it's just super fun.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, one of the funniest things that I've watched about Korg too is the fact that they were thinking maybe they were going to have him be serious, but Taika Waititi just decided to take a different turn with it, and that's why he's like, he's like, you make him such a lovable character to the point where like, you just can't get rid of him now.
Hey guys, we're gonna have a rebellion. If you want to join the rebellion, it's so good.
We're about to board this ship. You want to come?
Yeah, I love the bit. My favorite part is my favorite line in that movie is, "Oh my god, your hammer pulled you off."
I feel like Korg should get his own sitcom, like Big Bang Theory style, like where it's supposed to be even if they've got the recorded laughs and everything, it would work.
I'd watch a Korg series on Disney Plus, like a comedy series, like a sitcom nearly.
It's like him in his apartment every day.
Yeah,
I do maybe like a 5-minute short.
No, I need more Korg.
More Korg.
Give me more.
That's the title. More Korg.
Six 20-minute episodes would be fantastic. Not gonna lie.
Oh man,
an hour of Korg.
Yeah, I think it'd be great.
Dude,
and then
I need more than 6 minutes at a time.
Absolutely. Kyle, tell us, what did you think of Moon Knight? Because we obviously haven't spoke about, from start to finish. We don't know what you thought at all. So give us a little rundown.
I really, really love that Egyptian lore, because obviously we have like Greek mythology and stuff that gets put into it when you have, we're going to have more of, what's his name? I don't know why the god of, what is the lightning bolt dude throwing dude's name from Olympus?
Zeus?
Zeus.
Oh,
I don't know why Zeus. Zeus was
like literally the most famous
main one. Yeah. I could have told you all the other ones.
Yeah.
Greek and Roman, but Zeus just slipped me right there. But like I saw one of the previews had Zeus in it, or he might have even been in the multiverse part of Doctor Strange. I don't know. To listen, it's been a long couple months, but yeah, I think when we have like Greek mythology, now actually having Egyptian, especially in like a superhero setting, I loved it. I went into this just completely blind to all of Moon Knight, so I had no idea what to expect. But then seeing them actually have like these avatars, like the whole idea behind it, how it's not just him either. He's not just like he's just one superhero guy. It's that there's these avatars for all the gods. I love the whole thing about it, because if it would have just been he's this one guy that somehow got the one, because that's what I thought the first episode or two, and I was like, okay, whatever. Like it's this one guy who got who got lucky. But then when it shows like, oh, all the other gods are represented too, and the other ones are just missing because they've been trapped away or whatever, I was here for it and enjoyed it. I don't really understand fully Kevin Bacon's role as the one dude with the glass on the shoes. Like I guess they didn't explain that till the very end, that he was thinking his penance. I think maybe that'd be cool if we got some more flashbacks of him. If they could have, I think if they would have put flashbacks of him as the Moon Knight, that would have made the show better. But I really, other than that, I didn't have too many addendums I would have made to it.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of action in this show, and that's what a lot of people are unhappy about. But, if you take it as a kind of psychological thriller,
exactly,
which is what it's meant to be, it's fantastic, And the last episode kind of just sprinkles in that like kind of epicness. I know we didn't really talk about it last week, but like, Layla as like the scarab, and it was incredible. Like she looked amazing. Like,
if you would have told me, if you would have told me they would have had the gods full CGI in that episode, I would have thought it, like in that show, I would have thought it was super corny. But they make it really actually work, and I enjoy it. Like I'm gonna say his name, whatever. The main Moon Knight, the main Moon God's name,
Khonshu.
Whoever the voice actor for him is, A+.
Yeah.
F. Murray Abraham, he's so good.
You'll know his face.
Yeah, you would. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
I thought it was a bit over the top in episode 1, but I warmed to it very quickly.
Yes.
So I thought episode 1, I was getting like kind of Venom flashbacks, and I was kind of scared. I was like, oh no! I was like, no, please not again. But yeah, no, they kind of I don't know if they tamed it down a tiny bit as the show went on, or if you just got used to it. But whatever way it happened, it worked anyway.
So like they have the options for us to see, especially when they have the avatars kind of be like taken out at the end. we can see new, like the big main gods get their avatars replaced in the next season if they do another season. Which, I mean, you're looking at Osiris, you're looking at some of those really like Anubis, some of those big, well-known Egyptian gods and goddesses, and I think it's just really cool. I like how they explained how like they tied in the Egyptian afterworld into even like the Uganda afterworld, saying, "Hey, this is all the same place. It's just however you perceive it, you know." Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I think it's more because I'm a nerd for that kind of lore and mythology stuff that I really enjoyed it.
And I mean, everybody loves gods, though. Like that's the thing. It's like I can't wait to see more Olympian gods in Love and Thunder. And
the Olympian gods and like the Zack Snyder stuff, I hated.
I thought Zeus looked badass in that.
Yeah,
film.
dude.
I think I just don't like Zack Snyder. I think I just don't like Zack Snyder.
Maybe.
I don't know.
It was just 300 vibes off that. Like, you know, it was like Zeus was like he was out of 300.
He's great. What I love about the Avatar thing with all these Egyptian gods is that it's tying into Black Panther, right? And the thing that we're worried about with Black Panther is like obviously Chadwick Boseman tragically has died, and they're like he drank the last of the Black Panther juice, whatever. And so how are they going to do this? Well, if the god gets to like choose who his avatar is, that's kind of setting up the idea that there is a way for them to like pass the mantle down to someone else. Because I don't know if Black Panther is like an avatar of a god or if he's like something else, but he definitely like operates in like because of Bast, the god. Like he's definitely there. I don't know if he's an avatar because he has his own free will and agency. Like he can do whatever he wants. So he's
I think you explained I think you just explained how they do it though. They have Moon Knight go to Uganda and be like, "Listen, I have a way that you guys can do this," and him introduce the idea to him. They have all the technology in the world. They're like, "Yeah, we can do anything," and then they do it. I think you just explained how they should do it.
Thinking back on Black Panther actually, because like you know the way, obviously Chad as the movie goes on, Chadwick loses the power, and then oh my God, what's his name? Michael B. Jordan.
Oh,
his character. Yeah, Killmonger, his character, he takes it, but then Chad gets it as well. So there's two of them at the same time. So like, could technically 100 people, when they were growing those like gardens of it, it's like, could 100 people not be Black Panther? Like, you know, it's like it's definitely not it definitely wasn't an Avatar vibe. Maybe they're gonna have to go down the Avatar route now, but you know, there could have technically been 100 Black Panthers running around. Imagine how powerful Wakanda would have been then.
Well, I think the Avatar answers all that. Yeah, the Avatar answers that whole thing. They could just say, "Oh, yeah, but if there's multiple, now you're splitting up the power."
Mm. Well, that and the fruits are dead. Like they burned everything. So
yeah, no, I mean prior to that. Sorry,
but you know they have multiverse now, dude. They can get the fruit from anywhere, anytime. Like
true.
We have the answer to all problems for anything.
Yep. Exactly.
Glitch in the Matrix.
What did you guys think of the multiverse? Like the in between. I don't remember the name of it. The in between place of the multiverse. What was it called?
The place
where the Book of Ashanti was held.
Yeah, the place outside of time.
The Gap or something.
Yeah.
Did you guys? Yeah. And how they had like the broken pathways that were leading to the book and stuff.
Yeah, like I think visually that's like one of the coolest things we saw. They hit you with it right away, and it like starts the movie off in such a huge way. And like I just like I don't know where these criticisms are coming from Multiverse of Madness, because I think visually it was stunning. Like, what, you know, is it as cool as like the city folding in on itself? Like that's debatable. That's like, you know, you're subjective, right? But I think it still kind of comes to that level. It still raises, you know, the heights of it. And God,
oh yeah, like I do have a couple criticisms. I understand a couple.
Let me hear them.
I'll shoot him down right now.
Like the way the Illuminati got killed. Like I said, there's these big applause moments for these characters that people have been waiting to see for a long time, officially put in the show, and then to have them also killed off within half an hour. Even though it's a multiversal vibe, it kind of made it feel like their importance was like also was given to them and stripped away from them in the same swoop. So that I didn't like that, especially.
That's good though. Like, I feel like if they would have like spent more time with the Illuminati, the movie would just get so slow during that part. Like they served such a great mechanism to show how strong Wanda was, and to like keep it moving, give a little fan service. And what I think is hilarious about people who like are kind of on that wave that you are is how much people are like, the reason I love the MCU is because they build these characters up over multiple movies. And like they get the Illuminati, and it's just like, we love them. Why are they dead? Fuck MCU. Why are they doing this? Like, we don't care about these characters. They're not part of the MCU. They're not part of our universe. So like, just kill them all fast, and then we'll get like some other people to play him in the MCU, and we'll care about those characters.
Exactly.
Well,
how good? Go ahead.
The majority is like messed up by the fact that we got bonered like from WandaVision. So like, yeah. So we got half bonered here from what the majority sees.
Here's how they make up for
I
it.
agree with Hoffman.
They cast Rainn Wilson as Doctor Doom. John Krasinski.
That'd be fantastic, bro. I would love that. I would love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have that complaint. I also really wanted this Strange. Like I said, we had WandaVision we had one of the Disney Plus shows, WandaVision, get validated a lot. I was hoping What If would get validated more by having Doctor Strange Supreme from the What If episode instead of Sinister Doctor Strange, which I know they're very similar, they're very close. But I think if they specifically would have had this one, that would have been mind-blowing too, because then it puts in your head, wow, everything we saw animated could also be live action for us at some point. Because I feel like they were kind of also giving off that vibes with like Wanda almost looking zombie-ish at that one point with the blood on it.
I felt a lot of people thought that was what was going on. Yeah.
And then they have also Captain Carter. They had some of the What If things get visually represented in live action. I was hoping to see this specific Doctor Strange, the Supreme one, from him trying to break an absolute point, be the one that was in here. Maybe they are trying to say it's the same one, but I would have loved to it been like known that that's the one that we were looking at. Like even if he would have like went into the trapped little universe again or whatever. Like,
yeah, I was going to say you'd need to do that though, because that's where he is,
Yeah.
So it wouldn't make sense if he just popped in, because it'd be like, well, what happened to that universe?
Because he was obviously in a place that had a inversion, so they could have just changed the inversion to say the inversion was so bad that they just secluded off the universe.
True.
I think one of the coolest like left turns would have, instead of Captain Carter like from the What If series, is to just like go really crazy with it and say that like Red Skull was part of Illuminati.
Oh,
and I know it sounds crazy, but it would have been really cool to see like a villain all of a sudden like
I love that. A villain on like the council, like that really shows the idea of us all coming together for the greater good.
Like the 838 universe, like from what we saw, is such an aged like timeline compared to what we have. Like obviously like Reed has kids with Sue and everything, and obviously Charles has established like the X-Men and everything. Like, so you could have thrown in a mutant or something that it actually would have worked really well, or like Namor or any of these people, because like it's like this universe is so further along from where we are. Like it's the world itself even looked futuristic, so it's I would presume it's like 2050 in that universe, like so I think they kind of, I don't know. I like the lineup. One of the criticisms I've seen is some people saying that they didn't like the lineup. It's like nobody cares about Maria Rambeau as Captain yeah. And it's like, I understand that as well, but I think that might kind of pay off when the Marvels comes out or something, maybe, because we're gonna see her daughter running around with Captain Marvel, and
like
it's gonna work, like.
Yeah, we need to be reminded that Proton is a character. So to see her mother like in a different universe that took over the mantle, like that's really cool to see. And plus that's the fun part. It's like you get to see different iterations. They didn't go boring style and just be like, oh, this universe just created an Illuminati and ours didn't.
I feel like they missed an opportunity too to tie in mutants more securely to the universe, because doesn't Wanda Maximoff have to be semi-mutant, because she had hex probability, and this isn't my own words because I saw this in another video. Don't think I'm sitting here thinking about hex probability on my own time. She had hex probability magic when she was a kid, when she hexed the Stark bomb. So that was before all the experiments got done on her. I felt like they also missed that opportunity to kind of tie in mutants into all the multiverses at all points by saying, that explains her a little bit. And Charles, that could have been one line from Charles Xavier, been like, I've tracked her for a while with Cerebro. She's got mutant genes in her, and then boom, mutants are solidified in all the multiverses, and that also lessens that blow of you killing him 10 minutes after you introduce him.
She's definitely like a full-on mutant. Like her dad is Magneto. One of the Easter eggs that people are like memeing, like this confirms that where the MC is going, is some on the set of her house. like one of the set designers put like a picture of Magneto.
No,
he's just like something
From first class.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious, bro.
Like full on floating in the air, all of it.
I think it comes out later in the comics that she's actually not Magneto's daughter. It comes out. Yeah.
She's Sinister, that devil Sinister.
I don't know who her actual father is, but I know it comes out that she's not Magneto's daughter, like way later in the comics. So, but I think that's a really good like idea to get like Magneto in and make that connection straight away, because even they were trying to do that in Fox by having Pietro as his, like, you know, he's like, oh, that's my dad, like, and it's Magneto on the TV, like, you know, so it makes sense. Here's a question I have for you. So, you know, obviously so many creators are doing a lot of like Multiverse of Madness stuff. So like I love kind of watching people's kind of breaking it down and stuff. And someone came up with a very cool kind of observation, and which I didn't think about at all. But you know, in most of the other universes, you know, the way that the 616 happened with you know, Tony creating Ultron, and then with Ultron being created, that forced them to use the Mind Stone to create Vision and so on. And like in a lot of other universes, that didn't happen. So the Mind Stone was never used, so there never was a Vision, right? Whereas in all of the other universes, Wanda has her kids, but there's no Vision. So who's the father?
Oh,
I think maybe it's still the same. I think it's still the same. Like maybe Vision dying like that was an absolute point. Which actually, I was about to pose a similar question to you guys. When you guys give your answers, you can tag along to this. What do you guys think about the absence of White Vision? Because he's still out there.
Yeah. And he's now Vision technically.
Yeah, and I think to answer your question, I think Vision. I think there's an absolute point with Vision. I think there's a couple with him. I think the stone being taken out of his head for the whole Thanos thing. I think that's an absolute point. Has to happen. And then even if he does come back the way Wanda brings him back, I think because that first death was an absolute point, that's what causes him, like, she's fighting against, she's powerful enough to kind of fight against an absolute point, but not strong enough to actually overcome it. So, like, Strange couldn't even get close to it. He could never get it, a situation where she survived and it worked out. She got a few months with Vision, but in the end, the absolute point wins over. That's kind of my opinion on it.
So what's interesting is that the 838 version of Thanos that we see dead on Titan doesn't have the Mind Stone. It's not in the gauntlet. Mm-hmm. So the Mind Stone is not on Earth. There is no Vision, you know? So it's very interesting.
Yeah, because Reed is smarter than Tony, right? And he was able to actually like finish the Ultron bots and like not fuck him up.
And Ultron didn't go bad, so they didn't need to create Vision. Yeah, it's cool.
I would say that my theory on who the father is, I think Clint Barton, we all think he's a good guy. No, he had an affair with Wanda Maximoff. You know, they bonded over the death of her brother. She was grieving. He was weak and vulnerable. And he popped out those two little mutant babies with her.
That's why he was trying to jump off the cliff, dude. He was trying to escape a divorce.
Jesus Christ. I think in the comic books, Wanda has a relationship with a character called Wonder Man, and I think that's what a lot of people are saying might be where it's going. So what we might do, like, he might not appear in the MCU, but if they continue to bounce around the multiverse for a little while, I think we might get introduced to a couple of characters like that, and we'll see kind of different versions of Wanda. Yeah, sure.
Rocketeer Man and Wonder Man.
You know, one of the coolest things I think I've seen from people breaking this thing down online was to counter the big argument that, like, at the end of WandaVision, like, Wanda hears her kids screaming like help, help, and that's why she does all this, and like it doesn't make sense why she would be crazy trying to find her kids. Like, she should be, and like she heard this, so like why don't you pick up that thread line and, you know, Wanda trying to help her kids. And then I saw someone counter this argument, and she goes, well, yeah, she did hear those kids. Like, she absolutely heard her kids screaming for help. That was them screaming for help at the end of the movie when she was a monster and they were scared of her.
Nice.
Like, that's what she heard.
Yeah.
Like Echo. That's crazy.
Like, oh man, that's cool.
They should have tied that in the movie too. That could have been like zone her back into the end of the WandaVision where she heard that, and she could have like a
realization that she was actually hearing the screams because
herself.
Because that was the start of chaos magic going into her, and that's where her chaos magic was leading.
Yeah, I like that. I'm surprised Michael Waldron didn't write that in, because that's genius.
He may have. I feel like this is one of those movies that once people like get it at home and like are rewatching it and start to pull apart the threads of it, I think there's going to be a lot of really cool things they did with the script that we just like kind of don't pick up on because we've only seen it like 2 or 3 times, you know?
Yeah.
What do you guys think about, speaking of stones, what do you guys think about the lack of the use of Eye of Agamotto in the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness?
Ooh, he tried. I mean, he tried to open it up to like get the lock open, you know?
Yeah,
I feel
that's
like-
true. I feel
I
like
feel
it
like
doesn't
that's
really
a
do
cheat
much
code.
anymore. Like,
Oh, no,
does
it does
it have a
everything.
it has a big power, like even without the Mind Stone in it?
Yeah,
Okay.
the Eye of Agamotto is empowered by the Time Stone. It protects the Time Stone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and it
I
still
just didn't see
has,
how
I
that
think,
purpose
time
did.
magic kind of imbued in it.
That's cool.
Yeah, and he still
Yeah.
wears it. Like, I mean, the stone's not in there, but he's still wearing it as if it was. So that's why I thought maybe it, especially since he wasn't Sorcerer Supreme, maybe he would either just set that up in a sanctum somewhere. But it's still very much a part of, like, it even goes like fits in with the cape and everything. So it's still very much a part of his outfit. And I just thought it was weird he didn't mess around with it more.
it's a very powerful relic. You know, you don't want to keep that just sitting around because as you saw from like the first movie, you know, Caecilius was going straight for it after a while, you know, and you got to keep that thing held to someone, and Wong certainly isn't going to take care of it.
I just love in the first movie that Strange just so casually just walks up to it and just takes it and puts it on.
Oh, I know.
This is mine now.
know.
It's like, this is being protected in a sacred place now. He just walks up and just throws it on. He doesn't give a shit. Like,
It's funny.
I know, it's so good, dude. So I don't know, Hoffman, I sent you a link to a Elizabeth Olsen video yesterday. I don't know if you actually watched it, but I'll break it down anyway. So what happened? I think it was yesterday or the day before. Vanity Fair put up this video with Elizabeth Olsen where she did a lie detector test. All right, and it's a kind of funny interview, but I saw a few bits of it clipped and thrown up on TikTok, right? And one of the questions that she gets asked is a picture of John Krasinski gets put in front of her, and it's like, is this the smartest man in the world? And she laughs and she says, I don't think so. I don't know. I've never met him.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not a lie. It doesn't come across as a lie. And she's like, yeah, look, I've never worked with him. I've never met him before. I know his wife. I've met his wife and stuff. So that she's just basically confirmed that the scenes that she shot, she wasn't looking at that read. She was looking at somebody else.
Well, yeah, you see that like with all the characters standing there, like when someone dies, nobody is distraught by it. It's just, okay, next person to go up to bat. And that was so weird. That was one of the weirdest parts of the.
Yeah,
especially on that read, that was a very CGI. His death more than the others was very, very CGI. So maybe that's a part of it. Maybe she was looking at a guy in a green suit, like just Joe Schmo.
Yeah. I think the way that Marvel films is so CGI heavy that for certain scenes like that one, you know, Wanda or Elizabeth Olsen may not have met any of the actors or actresses in that scene. Like, it's just, you're on a green screen by yourself and you're just reacting to like, all right, so Mr. Fantastic's in front of you. Now you're turning him into string cheese and pop. You can make a face. All right, we got it. Perfect. Like, that's it. And I think that's part of the reason why I didn't like John Krasinski in this role is I don't think he's used to that. I don't think he's used to acting on a green screen where you got no one to play off of. And I think he just comes across like kind of wooden, just kind of, you know, he just doesn't know how to do it yet, right?
Yeah.
His acting is very much based on like playing off others' emotions and vibes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't think she's lying at all. I don't think she's met that fucking dude one bit.
Yeah.
I think ever since Tom Holland joined the MCU, they've went more and more towards like the late years of Game of Thrones where they don't want spoilers so much to the point where they have probably fake scripts. They probably have alternate scripts.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
They have, like we said, they're filming with not even like John Krasinski wasn't even in the same room as her. Like,
yeah. Well, do you remember the first trailer that came out? Because I always think back to this. When everyone was breaking down the first trailer, they were going frame by frame and stuff, and they were trying to pause and look at the silhouettes of the people that were on the Illuminati. The Reed Richards that was in that photo was like rake skinny, tiny, and he had like the Fantastic Four on his left, like breastplate. Right. And then the Reed that we got was like way more jacked, and he has a much bigger suit and everything like that. So I truly believe that what actually happened was they had the original Reed from the Fox universe, and then that leaked, and Feige said, we're going to change it. And then, because I think Krasinski was one of the first leaks, so I'd say they changed it, filmed it with the original dude, and then that leaked, and then he's like, okay, everyone thinks that we've moved on from John, let's bring him back now.
The original dude would have been a nightmare. That also would have brought in the confusion. That also I think would have brought in the confusion of, but isn't Captain America your Torch? Human Torch?
Different universe.
Yeah, it's still a different universe.
I think it would have been better. It would have made more sense. These are all people who we've seen in like other roles, you know, like Krasinski was the only one who was brand new. That's what was kind of weird about it.
Yeah, but I think it also opens the door to this idea of, because it was no secret that he was the #1 fan casting. So it opens this door to the idea that in these situations in the future, they might look to like fan casting and be like, hey, this is what the fans want anyway. Let's go with it.
Oh, that's awful. Right. Like, you do not want the fans to like the studio to be beholden to the fans like that.
No,
like, if we don't get exactly who we want, we're gonna riot. Like, that is a terrible place to be.
No. I think it's just a good idea to just have the idea that like directors are in tune with the community. It just it puts that idea in my head that they're not tone deaf or they're not ignorant to everything outside of their immediate circle, you know?
Right.
I think it definitely works. You know, there are times where the fan castings work. Like, I think Krasinski was great. He's been the fan favorite for a long time. I think Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka is fantastic as well. And that was another fan casting. I don't even think she was on the table. And then everyone was like, everyone wants Rosario to do it. Let's just get her to do it. Like, you know, so I think it definitely does work.
Can I say something about like Kevin Feige though, in terms of like him getting upset? Like, why is he like, why does he get upset and then be like, well, now I'm not going to do it? And then he just decides to change everything in between. Like, that seems like costly too.
Let me paint a picture for you, Alex, right? The four of us are working on a secret project, right? And we're putting our fucking heart and souls into doing this, right? But Hoffman is leaking all the secrets out to the internet on a fake account with a different name. I'm just using this as an example. As he would.
I'm addicted to likes.
As he does.
So, like, I think what's happening there is just there's leaks inside of Disney and Marvel and the MCU and everything. There's these people that are trusted to work on these movies, and whoever they are, they're going home and telling their wives, like, oh my God, I got to work with John Krasinski today. And then she's telling all her friends in work. So, like, I think they're genuinely just so frustrated because it's like they have to all sign NDAs. They're not supposed to be talking about this shit to anybody. And you know what I mean? If this stuff wasn't happening, I think stuff like Xavier showing up in the yellow chair, for example, probably wouldn't have been in the trailer. I think they were probably forced to put that in there because it's just like, oh, look, it's already leaked. Let's just put it in it, like, you know.
Like originally he was walking and they're like, well, shit, put him in the chair now.
Well, I think they also saw the idea of like bad editing and hiding of things like they did in Spider-Man is almost just as good as a leak, a confirmation. So I think they're also keeping that in mind. Even though, with that being said, they're still doing it with Thor: Love and Thunder. There's a photo out there right now where it's like Thor, I think maybe Korg, someone's next to him, and there's a really like naked open spot to the left of him where clearly a third person's going to be.
Yeah.
And it's like you're confirming.
And I'm still convinced that there was another member of the Illuminati who they didn't put in the movie. Like, there's an open chair, and then when they're all lined up next to Krasinski, they're like two of them are lined up to his left, and like one person's on his right. It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
I don't like that Mordo was in there, but it also could be that was Doctor Strange's seat.
Yeah,
she was a part
that's
of
what I was saying last time, Kyle. Like, I was thinking that was his seat. They haven't filled it yet because they recently killed him.
And wasn't Iron Man also a part of the Illuminati? But he said
he's originally that's Illuminati.
Tom Cruise did shoot. Tom Cruise shot test footage.
I was gonna say. I thought.
Okay, well, that's the thing, Finto. Is I just found out that it turns out that they never contacted him.
I don't think that's true, bro.
Like, they never contacted him, and so because they never contacted him, they never
deep fake technology.
Yeah,
no,
and that definitely.
I think he did. I think he did shoot. He did shoot scenes, and I think they're being saved for Secret Wars. Seriously,
I agree. Because that's not Strange's seat. Like, the seat that Mordo's sitting in, he's sitting in the Sorcerer Supreme seat. Like, he took over Strange's seat, is what I believe. Right. So there's an open seat, there's an open spot in the battle, and it's like Wanda was like, oh, I've never met John Krasinski in my life. Like, she's never met Tom Cruise in her life either, has she? Like, it should have been there.
I agree because Mordo wouldn't have been there with Strange there too.
Yeah. Can we real quick? I got to go back and rewatch this. Is there a reason why the fight scene between Mordo and Doctor Strange were so dumb because like one, I loved it because we always forget that Doctor Strange can like do hand-to-hand combat. Like he's trained very well hand-to-hand combat, but then like the two Sorcerer fucking Supremes are stopped by like a 10-foot wall. Like they can't get out of this little thing. Like this is it. This is how you conquer them.
Do you know what makes that so much worse? Yeah, the cuffs. It's the cuffs. But what makes it so much worse is like Mordor has magic boots that let him actually like climb shit. Like, you know, it's like could he not have just jumped up the wall?
And Strange has a cloak that lets him fly.
Yeah, I know.
Well, they also trained at Carmitage, which means that they had to have done some sort of like acrobatics.
Yeah.
They would never made it a 2D platformer.
Can I talk about a theory? Just it's around this time, so it's the perfect time to bring it up. So, theory is that we don't see Wanda ever face off against Mordo, so he's alive, right? He's the Sorcerer Supreme of that time. He has the Time Stone. So after Wanda leaves, he reverses time and revives the Illuminati.
Ooh.
But they defeated Thanos, so is there still a Time Stone in this universe? Isn't every universe
all
that
the
they defeated Thanos?
All the stones are still alive because Thanos.
All the stones are there.
Dead.
Yeah. And they would have just taken the stones off the gauntlet, and he wasn't fully powered either.
Right.
So that's how they defeated him.
Oh yeah, I guess our universe is the only one that is missing him now because we stole him from other universes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's how we set up an incursion.
Timelines.
Timeline, yeah. So it's interesting, and I think it could easily be something that happens because I know Patrick Stewart has said that he's not finished as Xavier. He's not done.
Damn.
He wants to do more. So whether that's something else multiverse wise, or if it is, I doubt it'll be like Charles getting introduced to the MCU. Like I don't think he'll be the 616 version. That'd just be ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
If that is the case, that kind of scares me because I'm just thinking like, how long do they plan to use him?
Yeah.
You know, Patrick is so old, obviously, and they've got another 10 years.
Yeah, like because
Feige is another 10. So
Secret Wars, but like incursions, like this is going to be like that. Like you said, 10 years. Like the Secret Wars is like the culmination of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just I think they really did set up the incursions well.
Yeah.
And if they use what you think the Time Stone to bring them all back, that'd be super fun. I'm totally into it. And I wonder if they're going to recast John Krasinski, like if they're going to have another Reed Richards as instead of John Krasinski in our universe, or if they're going to have like both of them go up against each other because he would be the only one that's casted like that, right?
Yeah. It's very interesting. Very interesting.
Did you hear the rumor on who was going to be casted, but the COVID stopped?
Yeah, Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig.
Yeah, dude.
Which is kind of out of left field. Yeah, it's out of left field, but I kind of like it. There's something about him that I'm like, yeah, he could probably fucking do that.
I kind of want to see him do like Dr. Doom though. Like I want to see him
Doom.
Bad guy. He'd be a good Doom. Yeah.
Well,
I really like
Doom. I'm sorry, go ahead, Finto.
I was just gonna say I really like Cillian Murphy as Doom.
Oh my god, Cillian Murphy can play anything though.
He's so good, and the fact that he has such a good like working relationship with the Krasinskis, that I think it would be perfect if he showed up in a Fantastic Four movie as the villain. I think it would be.
Yeah, he needs to be like a mainstay. They need more. I feel like the MCU one thing that just overall the entire MCU has done bad is not having some of these long-term villains. Like in the actual comics, Ultron returns multiple times. Obviously, we saw some Ultron bots and Multiverse of Madness, but like things like Doctor Doom really never he gets thwarted. They never get defeated. They always get thwarted, like Scooby-Doo kids.
Yeah,
and they need maybe more of that. They did that a little bit with Thanos, but in the end, he's killed.
Yeah. Thanos will definitely be back, 100%.
Oh yeah,
of course.
Josh Brolin has said he's playing more Cable and more Thanos. Fact.
Well, and they have Harry Styles being his brother, so.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I think if they do lead to Battle World and all this sort of stuff, they're going to just start bringing in, like the Beyonders, just going to start picking the best villains and the best characters from everywhere. So, like, you know, I know Hugh Jackman has expressed interest in Secret Wars. He was officially offered Multiverse of Madness, He said, "I'm not interested, but I'm very interested in Secret Wars."
My man
If
knows
Hugh
what's
Jackman
up.
does anything and he doesn't do the next Deadpool movie, I'm gonna lose my mind.
They need to do something. I would just love to watch an hour and a half of just the two of them doing
Them
like
hanging out.
anything. Yeah, just hanging out
Yeah.
at home,
Yeah.
like handheld cams, just them, just being them. You know, I think it would be so funny. It'd be $1 billion movie, like seriously.
So,
I love
another
that Hugh
project.
Jackman said that, and I love the actors who like turn it down. Because
Yeah,
I just found out this week, Benedict Cumberbatch turned down a role as a villain early on.
Yeah,
Is this a news story? Because I'll hold it.
he was no, it is. It's a new story, but I was going to bring it up as well. So
All right,
go
yeah, this
ahead, go for it.
like Benedict Cumberbatch apparently was going to play the villain in Thor 2, the elf guy, right? And he was like, no, like I want to work with you guys, but I'm Benedict fucking Cumberbatch. All right, why don't you bring me something a little bit more
Does
juicy?
he ever say it right, guys? Do you let him get away with this every time?
Yes, bro,
Cumberbatch.
Yeah,
Look,
Cumberbatch.
I'm from Florida, okay? I'm not like you other people from the civilized, well-educated parts of the countries and the world.
Insert the
Well, granted-
Okay, how do I say it? Benedict
Birdman saying,
Cumberbatch.
put
Is that-
some respect on my name.
Well, granted, we don't correct Finto when he says Mordor.
Yeah, no, I've said a hard or like once or twice. Yeah.
And whatever, Kyle. Just for the record, it's not an inversion; it's an incursion. Okay. Thank you. All right.
Listen,
40 minutes later, I'm still remembering it.
you gotta call me out on it because now I'm gonna remember it's an incursion. Listen, I've
Points on the
watched
board
that
for
video-
each of us,
I've
I
watched
think.
that video of Benedict
Dude, it could-
smog like 10 times. Okay, you just need to
It
help.
could
me
be
respect
20
that.
minutes though. It could be 20 minutes of us just going back and forth at each other. You said it this way. I said it that way.
So Benedict Cumberbatch, is that it?
Cumberbatch.
Cumberbatch.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Like he's
the
never
bag.
mind, I'm not, this is a nice
Batch of
podcast.
cookies, dude.
It's like a
Yeah,
batch
it's
of
good.
cucumbers.
Yeah.
You're just thinking of picklebacks, dude. You need to get that out of your head.
Okay, I'm good now. Me and Cumberbatch, we go way back.
There you go. The man himself.
Johnny Hopkins. we used to play
I
with
love. I absolutely love that Benedict had the balls to say to Marvel, "Thanks for the offer, but I'm going to wait for something better."
You said it was an
Because that may never come. That may never come.
Yes.
Mhm.
You said
And-
Elf 2 was the movie you said?
No, he was going to be in Thor: The Dark World
It's-
as the Elf King.
Oh, the
and
Elf
he,
King.
he turned it down. The Dark
I
Elf.
was like gonna say, when is Elf in the MCU, bro? When did that happen?
Look, Al, you've been off the podcast for a while. It's been a lot of movies that came out since.
I think, I think they've kind of made it to where I'm sure big names don't necessarily want to be villains in the MCU because they feel like they're just going to get these one-off movies and be like one and done. There's even like all the best villains, like Thor's sister. She
Hela?
is one of my
Hela.
Hela is one of my favorite villains, and we
That
did
was a
not get it.
badass.
Yeah, we didn't get enough of her.
Yeah. So Kyle, I gotta ask you a question. I know that Doctor Strange is your favorite character. You know, Doctor Strange is to you what Spider-Man is to me.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to now that Benedict is probably taking a bit of a break?
Him to get done with the break and do more.
So it's just you
well,
want more Strange. No, I know
Oh,
he
more
probably will
Strange.
do more, but I just mean Doctor Strange 3 is realistically 2 years away at the
Yeah.
earliest. So
I would like
what
him
are
to
you-
get
what are you looking forward to?
cameos. I mean,
He
if
will,
he's taking
he
a,
will,
if he's
he
taking
will.
a big break, the things outside of Doctor Strange, I'm looking forward to. I just want to see anything that is going to dip their toes back into this multiversal door that we've opened.
Yeah.
I'm there for it. Whichever thing does that, I don't care what title it is, what name you put on it. I'm there for it.
Well, Cumberbatch has reportedly said that he'll do 10 years if they keep evolving the Doctor Strange character.
Yeah, and I think they had a good step of that. I like so many, like you guys said, visually appealing, mentally intriguing. Just the idea that like I took this out of that movie, and people I actually started looking this up for like real life conspiracy theories. The idea that dreams are maybe a little look into a multiverse or something like that. How crazy! Like that's I think something that's been like studied or looked at outside of the actual MCU, like outside of fiction. And stuff like that is just so mind blowing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people think that about deja vu as well. Like deja vu, they think is like
that's the Matrix. That's the Matrix.
That's a glitch. Yeah.
Forever, deja vu will be the Matrix. If I see the same cat walk in front of me twice, I'm picking up a phone nearby. Seeing what happens. Payphone down the street's just randomly ringing. Not a coincidence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you guys want to see a quick photo that I found of like how they thought they could like mix the two two worlds of like the MCU with like the Netflix or the other off-brand movies of like, let's say Hulk, Spider-Man, and Daredevil, with like the Netflix versions of like Daredevil and Punisher. Can I just throw that up real
Do
quick?
it.
Sure. Send it.
Do it.
While he's throwing this up, one thing I'd kind of like to throw in the air. I know this episode doesn't have too much time left in it, but another project I missed, not necessarily MCU related, but I wasn't here to talk to you guys about, was Book of Boba.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
All right, let's look at this photo before we get into that nonsense.
You don't like space biker games? Please.
I almost want to save it for the next episode. Jesus, it's too much to unpack.
Yeah, it's
I love that photo.
Alex. I saw this photo. I thought it was cool. Like this is like fan made, and it's like
Yeah.
Kind of going into that same
versions.
photo. Have you guys seen that clip where it says when Doc Ock was talking to Peter, he was actually talking to all the fans too. Like he was talking to the audience at the same time, where he's like, "How have you been? You've grown up. Missed
yeah,
you."
yeah.
Stuff
That's
like
good.
that, dude. You watch that into that context, and it's like 10 times harder, and you're like, "Stop."
Mm-hmm.
That's cool, dude.
Can I
like
say
it.
something about this photo though? Even though like I like all the properties on the right side of it more, the left side of it looks like it's way more of a comic book. Like that's way more
Yeah.
comic accurate.
Oh,
than,
of course.
you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's like
But,
Toby's suit is so legendary. The Daredevil suit, like Affleck's, is better. I think the
Oh.
MCU version of Elektra's better than.
Affleck looks
Jennifer
like he just ate a
Garner.
big turkey dinner, dude. He looks like he's standing there like this, like, "Sup, bros?"
I love it,
Which
dude.
is
I,
good.
No,
I
that-
love
that's-
the suit.
So
That's Eric
here's
Bana Hulk, though.
here's a crazy thing, right? So I mentioned earlier that Hugh Jackman said no to Multiverse of Madness, but he said I'm down for Secret Wars. Do you know who else gave that exact answer as well?
Who?
Ooh.
Ben Affleck.
Oh
Ben-
my.
Ben
God,
Affleck.
yes.
Ben Affleck as Daredevil. Secret Wars. He's like, I'm not down. He's like, I'll skip on Multiverse, but I'm down for Secret Wars.
Dude. What a great way to like just fucking stick it to DC. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna be in a bigger franchise and like hype up their movie and what they're doing over here. Like
I was
your
about to say.
nonsense.
You guys don't like what? I don't know the current actor's name for Matt Murdock, but the one that was in
Charlie
Spider-Man.
Cox.
Love
Love
it.
I
Love
love him. Why
I love him.
Yeah, and I'm kind of over the Affleck train, man. I'm kind
I know.
of over it.
I definitely don't want them to replace Charlie Cox. They won't be replacing Charlie Cox. He is the Daredevil of the 616. But I think it would be so cool to get Ben Affleck in there
Imagine-
because the movie was terrible, but Ben was great. The suit was great. The
Yep.
powers were shown very well.
Ben Affleck is starting to give off 99-cent store vibes, dude. Imagine being the guy that every time you get replaced by somebody, it's like 10 times better than you. Batman, way
You're not gonna
better.
attack my boy Ben Affleck like that. He's done too much for the movie business. He's done
True.
too much. All right,
True.
Kyle. I like them
Listen,
fucking
like-
apples.
It's not. I was about to use a quote from that movie. I was about to say it's not your fault. Not your fault, dude. But I just think Affleck needs to chill out a little bit with these superhero things.
Who's with like Patterson's Batman is great, but it's not like he's 10 times better than
No,
Affleck's.
I wouldn't say he's 10 times better, but I just think
You just
Affleck's
did.
okay. His last performance, or you compare their last two performances, overall, I wouldn't say 10 times better, but their like current last performances, Snyder Cut, Ben Affleck, and Pattinson, the Batman, 10 times better.
I really think that Ben gets a bad rap for that movie, just like Andrew got a bad rap for his
Yeah.
portrayal of Spider-Man.
I'm not saying it's
It's
his
not
fault.
Andrew's fault the movies were shit. And
Yeah.
the same with Ben. Ben was good. He was a cool Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
We had Happy was Foggy in that movie as well, which is hilarious.
Yep.
But yeah, like he was good. The powers were good. I love the scene where he sees her in the rain and stuff. I was like, that's amazing. Like, that's one thing that will always stand out to me in that movie. And I gotta say as well, Ben's version of Kingpin was a badass. I love that scene where
Michael
he's
Clark
in the
Duncan?
where he's in the club and all, and he's like looking out onto the, and it's like, this is Kingpin, like it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really good. So
And
like
really-
it had its moments.
We gotta remember, like this is the 2000s. Everything sucked. Like
True.
there's like all the
Yeah.
movies sucked in the 2000s.
Yep.
Go back and find good ones. It's really hard. It's just bad time.
Did you
Yeah,
hear
I
about
absolutely hate the Eric Bana Hulk for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
I
that- yeah,
will never
true,
rewatch
true.
it ever.
That is
Did you
like
he-
the most disrespectful thing that ever happened to superheroes, honestly.
Did you hear that there was a deleted scene shot by Samuel L. Jackson, where I think it's the end of Iron Man 2, or I can't remember which movie it's from, but he basically turns around and mentions, I think, Wolverine and Spider-Man in the MCU to like Tony Stark, and they obviously cut it from the movie, but they had like, and this was around the time of Toby, obviously, and Hugh Jackman and so on, but they were trying to throw those ideas out there. So like, it's crazy how different it could have gone very early, and I think the way we got it was obviously the way it was meant to be, but it's kind of crazy to think that they were thinking about
opinion.
Yeah.
And I know you guys are about to pull out your pitchforks, but I'm not looking forward to Secret Wars. And I'll tell you why. I feel like lately in the MCU, the biggest things that have been happening have all been get out of jail free cards for everything. We have timeline jumping, we have multiverse jumping. Now we're about to add, well, yeah, that guy was just a Kree. That's why. He didn't actually die. He was a Kree. We just got you the whole time. I feel like, and if they don't use it that way, then awesome. But I feel like if they do go into this and they start using this get out of jail free kind of thing too much, it's going to burn people out where they're just going to be like, what are we going to see next? They're just going to bring back somebody else with some other stunt or stint. So that's my concern about Secret Wars.
You're talking about Secret Invasion.
Oh, Secret Invasion, right? Shit. Yeah.
Okay, because when you said Kree, I'm like, oh no, you're talking about the Skrulls.
The Skrulls. Yeah, like the Skrulls and the Kree.
The fact that everyone's hiding.
Listen, you guys can tell I've been away. I haven't been around here long enough. It's been a while.
You need to blow the dust off.
Dude, yeah, my brain dust. I'm in other multiverses where the Kree and the Skrull are different. You guys haven't been doing the.
Dude, I was about to paint a like serious picture of like Secret Wars right there, but I'll hold it. It's fine.
Yeah, Secret Wars. I meant Secret Invasion. Yeah,
I think Secret Invasion is going to be great.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be great.
I'm worried about this trope of these things that they're going to have in their back pocket now, because they've shown that they're going to use it at some point. Mm-hmm. So.
I mean, I'll say this: I am not the largest fan of timeline stuff. I'm not the largest fan of multiverse stuff. I think it cheapens the experience in a huge way, and I think that Marvel's playing a dangerous game with it when they start bringing in all these characters that we're seeing for the first time. Seeing Reed Richards for the first time in Doctor Strange as a alternate Reed Richards, that's going to take away from when they actually have him in the MCU when they build their own character. It's not going to be as special. It's not going to be as cool. Like, it's just not going to be for me. It's just this idea of taking shortcuts, and it's something I worried about in No Way Home, which I still feel is true, that they're just kind of like copying other people's homework and like sticking in their movies. And I got a little hate for that on my Twitter feed. That it was a bad take, but I still believe it. The thing about the MCU that is great is that they take the time to build these characters up. They don't, like the DC universe, just jumps right in and pulls in characters, and they're like, hey, you should just know this stuff. What I love about the MCU is how they take their time to build characters and build relationships between them. And I feel like the multiversal stuff it's very dangerous to what made the MCU good.
And what you said before is also true. It's almost like Feige's held himself captive to John Krasinski as Reed Richards now, like because of that reaction and that pop that everybody's had to him showing up as that. It's like, even if they had planned for it, just to be that one-off, just to be a fan service, they've almost backed themselves into a corner. Well, they're not going to be able to talk their way out of it without having a bunch of upset people. So I think it's a double-edged sword there too when they do that.
Do you think they're just testing the waters though? Like, they brought in Black Bolt, and I know that we've had Black Bolt in the past, but I mean, bringing him back, seeing what the audience thinks of it, maybe like if they had a positive look on it, then maybe they'll bring Black Bolt back in a later movie. So
like, maybe they're never gonna be able to do the Inhumans, right? MCU, bro. The Inhumans are such a hard sell. Like, it's harder than the Turtles.
Right, but they're already screwing it up with the fact that like Miss Marvel's not going to be an Inhuman anymore.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I was about to say they've scrapped Inhumans now, so that's what I thought was so weird about bringing Black Bolt in, because it's like you've scrapped the idea of Inhumans, but now you're bringing an Inhuman in. I was like, you're the Inhuman King. You're bringing the King in.
Yeah. And no matter what they do, they've cheapened, like Hoffman said, they've cheapened the experience because they've all just been killed in front of us.
I don't know, bro. Like, I gotta say, I feel like if we get introduced to the 616 version of Reed Richards and it is John Krasinski, I'm just gonna be like, oh my god, it's John again. Like, and it's like, it's kind of like when Toby comes into No Way Home, and you're like, this dude, like, you've got a connection to this dude already, and it's just like, it's so special to see him. Whereas
we had to wait
think,
a lot longer for that, though.
No, I know, but I just think that it's gonna hit kind of the same for a lot of people. And then I think as well, the questions I'm gonna be asking myself is, okay, is this a much younger Reed? Is it John Krasinski, but he's 20 years younger or something, and he hasn't, married Sue yet, and they don't have any kids, and it's like, let's see where this Reed is. It's the beginning of the Fantastic Four. I like that idea, or I love the idea that they're lost in the microverse, and it's like, how far along are they? Like, is it the same Reed, but he's been lost in the quantum realm for so long that they're just different people, So for me, I think it'd be good. I think you're right. From a marketing point of view, I think they'd be silly to not use John Krasinski now after the reception that he's been given. I think it would be crazy of them not to use him. So yeah, I think
is the Invisible Woman 2 power couple.
I think they gotta and I think she was asked on an interview not too long ago, like, have they been approached? And she's like, no, we haven't been approached and stuff. But the classic Andrew Garfield stuff. But I wonder, has she been approached? And the rumor is there was rumors going around that John was going to be directing as well. Now there's rumors going around that Bryce Dallas Howard's going to be directing, and she's going to be Sue Storm. She's able to.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. So she's well able to direct and star and stuff.
Like Hoffman said, they have
back then.
She was Gwen Stacy, back in Toby's days.
I'll say, like Hoffman said, though, they've already written themselves a shortcut, a detour around any story building that they ever need to do, especially with not only with the multiverse but with Kang. They could have John Krasinski come back at any point and just be like, "Hey, I showed up because Kang's a problem," and like all they had to do was introduce him this one time for a couple minutes in this universe, and now they have this detour that at any point they can decide, we're not going to give him the build up he deserves. Let's just take this detour because he needs to help fight Kang. So,
yeah, I just like the idea of like seeing the actor for the first time in their role in the MCU. I feel like that's better for me. And like, Finto did say like seeing Spider-Man again, but like that's after Spider-Man like was fucked up so bad. And like seeing Spider-Man come home was exciting.
And we still got to see him get his powers every time.
Yeah. And like now we've seen Reed Richards come home to the MCU. Like that moment has been given to Doctor Strange's movie now instead of the Fantastic Four movie, which I think would have been better.
Well, Hoffman, like think about this. Like, what if we soften the blow with this? As they introduce the movie, like the startup, like the first, I would say 3-5 minutes is a moment where you hear like almost a dream sequence. You see like flashes of like him getting killed or turning into spaghetti, and then he just suddenly wakes up and he's like, ugh. That was weird, but like it's just a really cool callback, and then it's just like, okay, now we're just in their movie, like kind of showing off like dreams still exist and that the multiverse is still around, and then you're just starting off where they're already having their powers and whatnot.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna love it. Like I'm just gonna be like, oh my god, let's get to know this Reed. Like
I still kind of agree. Yeah, I agree with Hoffman though, especially when you have a project that fails so bad as the last Fantastic Four did. You kind of need to have that a bigger moment for the return than what we had. And that like I said, that was one of my only complaints was that we did get this awesome fan casting of John Krasinski, but then a couple minutes later he was gone.
Yeah. What I will say, what I loved about him is showing him in like a very futuristic version of them, right? Like they're further into the future.
That portal.
The portal, exactly. Like they use like a TVA like portal, which is like it's based off of his technology. Like so that's kind of a cool throwback. If they do something like Finto says where we pull him out of the quantum realm, which like fingers crossed, they're going to be able to give him that like solid white wings that he's supposed to have in his hair. And it's because he's like so much older now. Yeah. So there are still moments that like he could have. And maybe he'll have a more comic book accurate throwback look because he won't have time to develop his suit, right? Until he comes out almost like Captain America when he's going around collecting war bonds, he comes out just like looking like with like the dumb suit.
Yeah, I think that'd be great, dude. I'd love it. Love it.
Let's see, I'm excited about Dallas Bryce Howard directing that. Her work on The Mandalorian has been stellar.
Yeah.
So she like takes a whole franchise with the MCU is going to be awesome. Because that's what we need in the MCU if they really want to get down to the Illuminati later on. It's like we need other pillars. Like we have the Avengers, right? We need other pillars. We need the X-Men. We need the Fantastic Four. We need the Marvel pillars in place. And I would love for her to be the director of one of those pillars.
Yeah. So remember we were talking about on the cast a couple of weeks ago that Feige had that retreat.
Mm-hmm.
So they've said that they've got plans now up until 2032, and then Feige, I believe, is going to retire. Right. So do you think that as Feige exits, do you think that is also the end of the MCU? Do you think they reboot after?
Ooh, man.
I don't know if they should reboot, dude.
I think in 10 years' time, I think it'll be time. The MCU will be.
Do you think it's a
25
never-ending
years
cycle?
old.
You think this is going to be a never-ending cycle? Like they're never going to stop making movies?
No, I don't think. I think they're going to want to use Captain America. They're going to want to use Iron Man. They're going to want to use all the like, you know, the big characters, Black Widow, all these people, you know. And I think 10 more years of this is enough. I think, and then I think
Yeah.
you know, you reboot, we get a new we get a new like Black Panther, everything, and then they have all the properties. So when you do the next one, you could do it properly. You can
But
have the mutants messing around with the Avengers. You can do you know, you could do X-Men versus the Avengers, and you could do Civil War properly and all this stuff.
Yeah,
like Spider-Man.
I think if they rebooted it, they would definitely need to go like a different route. Like we shouldn't see Infinity War again if they rebooted it. Like they reboot it with new people in the roles, but then they go down the roads that we didn't see, where it's
exactly.
I think that's the only way I'd like to see. If they did it a reboot kind of where it was like one for one, just updated, I would not want to be part of that.
Yeah, well, like if you think of like Superman or, you know, Batman or anybody, like, you know, we've had so many actors play these guys that we've only ever had one Iron Man.
Yeah,
you know,
but those are not all sequeled movies. Like this is these are 25 years of movies that were meant to tie into each other.
Yeah.
So that's where for me it's the difference, because like Spider-Man's great. Sometimes there's a couple Spider-Man movies, but for the most part, those are all roles that, and even in those roles in the universes, they've been known to pass off the roles. There wasn't that many. I guess there was a couple Iron Men towards the end, but yeah, there's.
I really think there has to come a point where you reboot, and I think, you know, the MCU started in 2008, and I think if it ends in 2032 or 2034 or whatever, if the last movie's set to start production in 2032, it'll be released in 2034. You know, I think 29 years or whatever it is enough.
Yeah. The one thing I will say is Marvel comic books have never reset their continuity. They've never done it. It is their main 616 universe has been the same for like 60 fucking years. It's been one ongoing storyline. And they do other, you know, they retcon a lot. They do a lot of like weird stuff for sure, so they can telling stories, but they've never reset it completely. And I think that's kind of a cool thing about the Marvel universe, especially considering that DC tries to reset their universe like every 2 years. So like I don't want them to reset it, because like I would love to be like 60 and be like, oh, back in my day, Steve Rogers did this, and this ties all the way over to this movie. I think that would be kind of dumb fun for my old ass. But I do see the benefit in kind of resetting it, because, you know, I wish that we could tell more Iron Man story. I wish we could tell more Steve Rogers stories. Like, you know, I just don't want a Captain America story. Like I like Steve Rogers stories. I like Tony Stark stories.
Exactly.
Like I like these characters, and we've gotten a lot from them, but there's definitely more out there for them to do. So yeah, if they want to reset it so they could tell like all new stories based on them, like, you know, starting with younger actors and then like being able to like kind of bring them up, for sure, that would be fun. But I also like the idea of not resetting it all, just because it makes everything more meaningful.
I agree with you. I don't like when the mantle's passed. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, this is why I think that the multiverse is never going away, because you don't have to reboot it at that point. You just have another world. Like it's much like when you see in the comics, you have the original 616 universe, and then you have the Ultimates, which is the 1616 universe. And then you have like Ultimates 2. Like you can do as many as you want, and you don't have to touch the original timeline ever. Yeah. You could just have it be.
They could just make another number be important. Exactly. The universe number becomes the new important thing. Like,
that's the same. Right. That's kind of the same as a reboot, though. You know, if the MCU moves into a different universe, it's like you're starting all over again. So you may as well just reboot. It's the same thing.
No.
You guys can find me in Earth 420. Where I'm going.
How dare you? But you have to think about it this way, Finto. It's not a reboot, because the 616 universe still exists, and therefore they can always interact with each other at some point. they can bring him in. It's much like when you see in No Way Home, they didn't reboot Spider-Man.
Which
That
that
means
could be
that they had him from a different universe.
But they're not getting Tobey Maguire in when he's 70,
But that's the
Right.
cool
They're
thing.
not
That's the cool
rebooted.
thing that they could do. That
That's
Alex
the thing.
saying though is that the door is open if they somehow did, where you have this reboot of a different universe, and then maybe they're like, "Hey, Toby, I know you're about to kick the bucket. You've been retired for 30 years, and you're really old and in a wheelchair. You want to roll around in a suit just for a couple minutes?" Like,
Jesus
maybe.
Christ.
But
Yeah, I mean,
That'd be
Stan
nice.
Lee did cameos until the end, so you got to think that some of these people might want to do that, and that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, but I as a child, I don't want to see that. If I'm
Not much.
14, if I'm 14 years old,
You don't want to see your hero get.
I don't want my fucking Iron Man to be 70. You know what I mean? Like Robert
not
Downey
see
Jr.
your
is
dad?
getting old, dude.
Do not
Like,
look.
he's
Do not visit
gray
your
now.
dad. Yeah, you just don't visit your dad once he gets too old. Sorry, Dad. Got to keep this young image
He's
in my head.
he's my fucking father. That's different, but you know what I mean.
Spider-Man's your father.
When I'm going to see films, I'm not going to see old people. Do you know what I mean? Like, especially
Yeah.
not. I would like it. Of course, I'm gonna like it. Chris Evans, I'll watch him until I die. Like, that's the 100%. And him as Steve Rogers is great. But if I'm 10 years old and you're trying to introduce somebody to a cinematic universe that's been going on for 40 years, like it doesn't work.
I think it's like I think you're thinking of it too much of a plot point. I'm thinking just small cameos the way Stan Lee did. Just little he's rolling on by and he says something funny. Like, it doesn't need to be a part of the plot, but it opens the door to that, to where it still makes sense. And the people that are the OG fans, like Hoffman said, when he's 60, he can still get a little chuckle out of that. The kids aren't going to know what's going on. That's going to be all of our own inside joke that we're going to know about. Maybe the younger crowd won't. I think that's cool.
It's like I don't know if you guys ever seen the Starsky and Hutch movie with like Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson. At the very end of the movie, you see the original. Yeah. And that's the cool part. Like, you don't. We're not.
Yeah, because the movie sucked.
But that movie is a reboot.
The comedy was funny.
Yeah,
like between Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson, that was hilarious. I just love it.
They're brilliant. I actually love that movie.
And I'm also thinking about like the other franchises. Like, for sure, the main Avengers people, it's like we can't go back to them. But whenever we get the X-Men in, right? Like, are we only going to tell 8 years of X-Men stories? Like, that feels light, There's so much there. So what, are they only do like 5 or 8 years of X-Men and then they reboot the MCU? That kind of feels like they wanted to go further than that, Like, if they could get 15, 20 years out of the Avengers storylines, well, then you got the X-Men too, where they can totally stretch it out now that they're starting off from scratch with all these people they can cast.
I think they're confused with the X-Men right now. I feel like they've had like one reboot that was semi-successful and then halfway through kind of fell off. Then they've had like, one of them wasn't really like, they didn't do a reboot at first and they still involved the old actors, and then they did do a reboot and then they turned that reboot into a way that, like, they've done it really weird with X-Men. Now I'm really interested to see where they go with the X-Men going forward, because that one's been played differently than any other franchise.
Mm-hmm.
I think Hoffman and I might agree on this. Like, they rush X-Men so often.
God.
Like, every time they reboot it, they rush it. Like, we didn't need Apocalypse right away. We don't need Dark Phoenix. Like, we need the cast to grow. It's much like when we grow with Iron Man, when we grow with Captain America. Like, they need time to, like, evolve.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's one of the biggest things. It's like X-Men can evolve over time and become stronger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would just like to see them actually set up the Phoenix Saga over like a trilogy, like start it off in one movie and then build it up to where it's a finale, instead of like, hey, we're here. And I would also like them and to, when they do end credit stuff in the X-Men movies, now the MCU has it, that they actually pick up those storylines and run with them.
Yeah.
Kind of like where Doctor Strange, they were just like, you're like, remember that sweet ass end scene from Doctor Strange 1 where you thought Mordo was going to come back and that was going to be like the storyline of the second one? And they were just like, oh yeah, Mordo tried to kill me a bunch of times. Like, thanks. That's like what?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
It's a big cop out.
Yeah, I heard there was a deleted scene in this movie where you see the 616 version of him getting his head taken off.
Oh my God.
He gets killed, kind of like the way that the first guy got killed at the start of the first movie. Do you remember where he gets like beheaded in the library? Yeah, so apparently that was a scene that was going to be in Multiverse of Madness, and that was to answer the question of where the 616 version is. He's dead.
That's weird. Because like
Yeah,
I
Well,
thought
that
that was
might-
like one of the coolest end credit scenes. Like it really set up a villain that was intriguing,
Mhm.
and they just like did nothing with it, bro.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see where it goes because, like, Fox and Sony and even like, even Marvel were kind of working that way in this mindset at the start, but it was all about kind of get a trilogy out and then that's it, it's done. Start something new. So like
Yeah.
this is kind of the first time, and we spoke about this earlier, but like, we're seeing Thor 4. It's the fourth movie. We're gonna have Spider-Man 4. Guardians of the Galaxy will probably get a fourth movie, or maybe not actually, this might be a bad example, but it's interesting to see what might actually happen now with X-Men if they could do 6 movies,
Yeah.
and if Fantastic Four could do 4 movies. So I think that'd be a cool number for them. Fantastic Four do 4 films. You know what I mean? So I think that'd be sweet. And they have the world is so big now that they have that groundwork, that area to play. Whereas like I feel like how Hollywood were doing it back in the day was like, you have a trilogy, guys, that's it, you're done. Like, get all your shit done in those 3 movies, and then we're rebooting or we're moving on to something else, or that's just the end, So it's very interesting. I'm curious to see where it goes from there.
Yeah. The only reboot I will accept is if they have the balls at the very end of this to have Galactus just eat the universe. And they're like, that's it for the MCU. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Like that's the only way I will accept this reboot.
I saw someone talking about Franklin Richards. So the way in Multiverse of Madness, Krasinski talks about that. Obviously, he has his kids. His kids are alive. So Franklin, if you don't know, in the comics, like he's like one of the most powerful beings ever. He in the comics at one point actually revives Galactus, and he's kind of like Wanda. He could just think things into reality. So, what I think would be a cool story is if we get that version of him as he grows up, like in 5 years, he's maybe a teenager, and then he starts bouncing through the multiverse looking for Wanda to get revenge because that version of his dad is dead. And then, maybe he becomes a villain or something. It's crazy, dude. Like there's so much that could happen in this next 10 years. Like it's wild.
Yeah.
Wild.
But I'm also very excited for them to like not go that big and be like, hey, Spider-Man has to live in a shitty apartment again and fight crime. Like, I'm like, yes, give me both of these sides. This is what I need.
30 minutes or less pizza deliveries with Spider-Man. That's where we need to be.
From the Pizza Papa.
I really think, like, and we've spoke about this before, there's going to be ground level heroes. There's going to be the galaxy, like, Guardians of the Galaxy, all that stuff, all the world, off-world stuff. Like, and then we're going to have, I think, like gods and stuff, like, Olympus and, well, I suppose Asgard, not really so much, but I think they're going to have like a whole like a godly vibe. Then there's going to be like the supernatural vibe. So I think like I think there's going to be a bit of everything for each type of fan. If you're big into the supernatural stuff, you watch like Midnight Suns and stuff like that, and Punisher and Daredevil, all that sort of thing. If you're into like just classic comic book stuff, you watch the likes of Spider-Man and Captain America and all them. Like, it's great. It's great.
We're in a good spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kevin's delivered us to the promised land.
Oh, he's just an absolute legend. And I'm so excited to the fact that he's going to Star Wars next. Him and Michael Waldron are working on a Star Wars project right now. And this Star Wars project that they're working on is in no way connected to anything that exists right now. It's not a prequel. It's not a sequel. It's its own thing. And it's got Kevin Feige and Michael Waldron writing.
Woo.
It's going to be crazy. Crazy.
Ready, baby.
Oh, yeah.
I'm here for it.
You guys got anything else to bring up, or what do you think we should end it for the week?
Light week.
For this week.
Yeah, light week. Guys, if you're new to the channel, hit the follow button, like the video. If you're listening to us on Spotify, hit the subscribe button, turn on the noti bells, and we'll see you next week.
Later,
Bye, guys.
Later.
Bye.
Yeah.